Chapter 1, The Revelation. Yu, dressed in men's clothing, had spent 12 years as a soldier in the National Army camp. Suddenly, she learned that she was the daughter of the governor. The fake heiress, Zhao Qingqing, clutching Yu's sleeve and shaking it, sobbed, "Sister, I know I've taken your place. I just ask that you don't take away the love of our parents and brothers." You knew that she didn't want to take anyone's love. She just wanted to get some military pay for her brothers. When the governor's men came to the camp with the news, everyone was nervous. They asked Yu, "What trouble have you gotten into? Why are the governor's men here?" As soon as Yu was let in, before she could even greet them, a noble woman in brocade rushed over and examined her from head to toe. "Your eyebrows, your contour, they are exactly like mine when I was young. It's as if they were carved from the same mold. My daughter, I never thought I would find you." The governor, Zhao, was not as emotional. Or rather, he was initially excited, but upon seeing Yu, his excitement turned into deep disappointment. How could the daughter of the Zhao family have become such a person? What will become of the Zhao family's reputation? It's a disgrace. Yu looked at herself. Her old armor, though often washed, still had bloodstains and dirt in the seams that couldn't be cleaned. Her face was bruised from a recent battle with bandits. She looked like a stray dog that had been through a lot. In contrast, the girl in front of her, dressed in a goose yellow skirt, with fair skin and a slender waist, looked like a delicate and gentle lady. She was shrinking behind a young man, her eyes filled with tears, looking both curious and afraid. The young man, protecting the fragile girl, looked at Governor Zhao. "Father, Qingqing is the daughter you and mother raised with your own hands, and she is the one who will inherit the Zhao family's reputation," he said. The noble woman, who had been holding Yu and crying, also seemed to be reminded and immediately let go of Yu, embracing the fragile girl. "Qingqing, don't be afraid. Even if we found your sister, I will still love you." Zhao Qingqing couldn't hold back any longer. She let out a soft cry and buried herself in the noblewoman's arms, crying. The noblewoman held her, her eyes also red. The governor and the young man also surrounded them, comforting them. They were all hugging each other, making Yu feel like an outsider. Yu was angry. She helped herself to a pastry and, while listening to their intermittent crying, she roughly understood the situation. Chapter 2, The Family Reunion. The four people involved were Zhao, the governor, his wife, their son Zhao Shua, and the fake heiress Zhao Qingqing. 17 years ago, the midwife who was supposed to deliver Zhao's wife's baby had secretly replaced Yu with her own granddaughter and left Yu on a snowy street. The midwife's granddaughter, Zhao Qingqing, had been raised as Zhao's daughter for 17 years, living a life of luxury. Now, with the midwife's death and her confession, the Zhao family knew the truth. But they had deep feelings for the girl they had raised for 17 years, and they thought Yu, who had been left in the snow, was probably dead. So, Zhao and his wife tried to comfort themselves and forget about it. They never expected to find Yu in the military camp in Qingzhou. You guessed that Zhao, upon seeing her as a rough soldier, probably wished he had found the wrong person. But Yu's nose and mouth were like his, and her eyebrows and contour were like Zhao's wife's. They also did a blood test, confirming that Yu was indeed their daughter. Blood is thicker than water, and Zhao and his wife finally decided to bring Yu back to their house. From then on, there were two Miss Zhao in the Zhao family, Zhao Qingqing and Zhao Muju. Chapter 3, The Banquet. Yu obediently packed her things and left the camp. Her belongings were simple: a sword, a bag of rations, a set of armor, and some silver coins rewarded by the general for her merits. Her brothers were amazed. "We always said Wood was a woman, but you didn't believe us. We didn't care whether Wood was a man or a woman. She was our brother." Now that Wood is going to the governor's house to enjoy a good life, does she even miss us? Hey, Wood, you're really lucky. The governor's house probably has 3 meals of dumplings a day, and they're all meat-filled. You looked at these mud-legged soldiers. They were all smiling at her. Each of their faces was pale. This year, the military pay was tight, and even the rations for the family were not enough. The general had gone to the court for a long time to ask for food, but to no avail. In winter, everyone's clothes had holes, revealing thin cotton wadding, and there was no money to buy new ones. Despite this, they were all genuinely happy for you. In the past 12 years, they had covered for each other on the battlefield, taking bullets and arrows for each other, trading lives for lives. You carried a small bundle on her back. Brothers, I'm leaving. They waved happily, remember to write. You sat in the Zhao family's carriage. Inside, there were green satin quilts, red embroidered cushions, and a gold wire hand stove burning silver charcoal. The room was warm, and the fragrance was intoxicating. You suddenly remembered the poem the general had read to them. He said, the rich smell of wine and meat, while the poor freeze to death on the road. You looked at the other side of the carriage. Zhao Qingqing was sitting with her. She was dressed in a beautiful dress and a white fox fur, looking at you with disgust and moving away. What do you think you can do just because you're my biological sister? Zhao Qingqing spoke coldly, her voice sharp. The Zhao family has been an official family for generations, a first-class noble family. How can someone like you, so rough, be worthy of being the Zhao family's miss? Zhao Qingqing spoke for a while, and you just stayed silent. It wasn't that you was tolerating her, but because in Yu's opinion, quarreling was a meaningless thing. Just like in a battle, no matter how much the two side speakers argued, it wouldn't change the outcome. In the end, it all came down to who had the stronger fist, the greater strength, and the real military power. Zhao Qingqing, seeing that you wasn't paying attention to her, became even more angry. When they arrived at the Zhao family's door, she suddenly fell out of the carriage. Zhao Shua, Yu's blood-related brother, rushed over from the front carriage. Qingqing, are you okay? Zhao Qingqing's face was pale, holding her ankle, her eyes blinking, and tears falling. Zhao Shua panicked, Qingqing, are you hurt? Does it hurt? His voice quickly attracted Zhao and his wife. When everyone gathered around her, Zhao Qingqing finally spoke. She sobbed, I was about to get out of the carriage when suddenly a force came from behind, and I fell. Before she finished speaking, Zhao Shua had already glared at you. Zhao Muju, how could you push Qingqing? We know you've suffered a lot living outside the family, and you must have a lot of resentment, but why be so cruel to Qingqing? She was just a baby in a cradle back then, and it wasn't her fault. Why are you treating her like this? Zhao Shua was furious, and Zhao Qingqing had already kneeled and crawled forward. She grabbed Zhao Shua's robe corner and tearfully said, Brother, sister must have done it unintentionally. She must have been in the military camp for too long and didn't know the rules for getting out of the carriage, so she bumped into me. And sister's resentment is understandable. After all, it was our grandmother who harmed her. Although I've never had much contact with that grandmother, since we are related by blood, the great sin she committed should be repaid by me. Zhao Qingqing's crying was choked and tearful. Zhao's wife, nearby, said anxiously, Qingqing, you're not well. How can you kneel in the snow? Get up. Zhao Qingqing shook her head, sister hasn't forgiven me yet. I won't get up. I want to apologize to sister. It seemed that her body was indeed weak, and Zhao Qingqing fainted in Zhao Shua's arms, before she could finish speaking. Zhao Shua hurriedly picked up Zhao Qingqing and rushed into the house. Doctor, call the doctor quickly. Zhao's wife hurriedly followed behind, looking at Qingqing's pale face and crying continuously, my poor daughter, Why is fate so cruel to her, making her suffer such sins? Zhao, the governor, looked at you with disappointment and disgust, flicked his robe, and turned to follow. Yu was left alone in the cold, with snowflakes falling on her shoulders. She felt a little sad, but only for a moment. The next moment, she noticed the fruits on the hall table. They were red and plump, looking juicy. In a cold and desolate place like Qingzhou, such fruits were rare. These must have been sent by the official road, galloping all the way, for the governor's family to enjoy. You asked the servant, "Can I eat these?" The servant, waiting for you to cry, was taken aback by this turn of events, and stammered, can you? You, great. You ate a few, and secretly pocketed a handful. The Zhao family was really rich. Money was really good. Everyone in the Zhao family rushed to Zhao Qingqing's side, and you was left neglected. Taking advantage of the chaos, you climbed over the wall and rushed to the market to sell the fruits before the stalls closed. She sold them for 2 taels of silver and bought several fat pigs. You found a carriage to move the pigs and asked the driver to send them to the military camp. Thinking it wasn't reassuring enough, she also wrote a letter for her brothers. Brothers, see you soon. Kill the pigs quickly, don't be like last time when we caught a sheep and didn't eat it, only to find it getting thinner. Don't worry, I'm in the Zhao,